Okay, we're good to go. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. The Moorhead Public Service Commission welcomes and encourages customer input on issues listed on the agenda or of general water utility interest, time and commission permitting. Speakers are limited to 3-minute presentations. Customers wishing to address the commission regarding a specific agenda item will be afforded an opportunity during the discussion of that item. Customers wishing to speak on matters not listed on the agenda will be given an opportunity to do so under the heading Customers to be Heard or Recognitions. Each person requesting the opportunity to speak is asked to fill out a request to speak form located in the back of the room and present it to the administrative assistant in attendance at the meeting. Any follow-up or feedback will be done by email on anything that cannot be resolved this evening. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Paulson, seconded by Gilbertson to approve the meeting's agenda. Gilbertson.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Thompson. Aye. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Gilbertson, seconded by Paulson to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Seeing none. Gilbertson. Paulson.
Aye.
Thompson. Aye. Customers to be heard or recognition. Old business? I don't think there is any. Report, City Council, Mr. Gilbertson.
I just have to report that Monday we will finalize our tax levy for the year. Hopefully it goes smoothly, but you never know. That's it.
Great, thank you. Public Service Commission, anybody have anything to add?
The only thing I'll add, Madam Chair, is I did attend the last EDA meeting, which we talked about the draft budget for the EDA as well, and so I think that's moving forward.
Great.
Good.
Perfect. General Manager's Report, Mr. Schmidt.
All right, perfect. It's working. All right, light on the General Manager's Report tonight. I've got just 2 thank you items within the report. Thank you from the Moorhead Business Association for sponsoring their 2023 annual banquet. And then we also got a thank you from Riverkeepers. Again, on an annual basis, MPS staff volunteers for the Red River Water Festival, which teaches students about keeping the rivers clean and how drinking water is made, things like that. So just those 2 thank yous this evening.
Okay, thank you. Item number 9, approve contracts for advanced metering infrastructure.
Sure. I'll have Kurt McLean. He's our IT division manager. Kurt and Jake Long, our water distribution manager, worked on this for about the last year and about last 15 months or so, trying to get it to completion. I'm going to let Kurt kind of go over the details of the last several years of how we've gotten to here, and then what are some of the next steps forward. They've done a fantastic job getting us to tonight, so I'll let them speak, or Kurt speak on Jake's behalf.
Good afternoon. Again, Kurt McLean, Moorhead Public Service IT Division Manager. First thing I wanted to go over was, especially for people watching remotely, is AMI stands for Advanced Metering Infrastructure, and I want to give a little definition. Refers to systems that measure, collect, and analyze energy usage, interact with advanced devices such as electric meters through various communication media, either on demand or on schedule. The long and the short of that means that the system is capable of on demand pulling meter reads for both electric and water, or on schedule providing us with information, as well as power quality outage information. So I just wanted to start with that. MPS, a little bit of history. MPS began exploring AMI about the time I was hired here back in 2006. We looked real heavily into it in 2008. And at that point, the infrastructure that was out there wasn't mature enough to meet the needs that we were hoping to solve. We had a lot of systems that were electric only or water only, but we couldn't find one other than Itron that would do both water and electric, and that was at that point cost. We continued to watch AMI development over the years, and it's just been over the last few years that with the onset of time of use rates that it started to make sense, and the fact that now there are multiple vendors out there that can do both water and electric in the same platform, so it became more of a cost benefit for us. With that being said, in September of 2022, the Public Service Commission approved consulting services with Katema to help us develop an RFP to get our AMI project off the ground. It was a pretty heavy lift for us. Katema conducted meetings with MPS staff, basically conducting interviews on what our needs, wants, and desires were for this so that we could develop an RFP that was encompassing everything that we were looking to get out of it. That RFP was released in December of 2022. Went out to 5 vendors. We did get, in February of 23, we did get responses from 5 vendors when the RFP was due. MPS evaluated the proposals with the assistance of Katema. We developed a short list in April of this year, which consisted of our top 2 scoring vendors. The vendors were invited to present their solutions to Moorhead Public Service Management team and other interested parties. And so we went through their, I hate to say dog and pony show, but looked at everything and heard the sales pitch. At that point, we had decided that Wesco probably best fit the needs of MPS. MPS began contract negotiations with Wesco starting in June of 2023 with the support of MTS John Bolger, our attorney, to finalize contract documents. The documents were forwarded over to John Shockley just this past week here, and we have legal approval from both John Bolger and John Shockley, so it's no longer pending legal review. Costs associated with the AMI project are included in our 2023 budget as well as future years' budgets due to the duration of the project. The estimated cost of this project is going to be $13.5 million. However, there are items within the implementation that could impact those costs. There could be additional costs with primarily water meter installation if we run into problems when we're in basements and homes, etc. And installation of the load management devices is not included in this contract, so that'll have some impact on the final dollar figures. We are requesting approval of the contracts with Wesco, Harris, and Honeywell. This will allow us to continue to move forward with this project. Any questions?
Questions? I have one sort of broad question. Next year at this time, what will we see having moved forward with this project? Where will we see any kind of value added?
In an ideal world, barring supply chain problems, we should be finalizing electric meter rollout, and we should be well into deployment of the water meters. The water meters is going to take substantially longer because we have to coordinate with residents to get into their homes, and that can be problematic from what we've heard from vendors as well as other people that we've talked to that have implemented this. But within a year from now, I would say you could see a substantial amount of town with AMI infrastructure, with our ability to do move-in, move-out, disconnects, and providing us with meaningful electric data coming back from these meetings, including AMI Light. So the meters can give out what's called a last gasp when they lose power, and they'll report to the head end and say, hey, I lost power, and it'll allow us to kind of define an area where we have a power outage even before the phone would ring.
Wow.
That's our initial start out. There are many more moving parts to this. Load management, hopefully that will be rolled out by then, which will replace our very aged current load management system, shoring up our ability to do load curtailment when we need to.
Gilbertson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Do you see any long-term savings with rolling this out?
Well, there are a lot of people that say you can cost justify this. The problem is I don't think you can. If you roll in the benefits of being able to time of use rates, it might be close to a break even, but it's not going to be a money saver.
You will be replacing your water meters, and typically those over time do slow down. So you might see some increased income from that, but again, that's going to be arbitrary.
It'll give us an increase in abilities and capabilities, but it's not going to save us a bunch of money.
I'd say it brings us into the 21st century with the information that we have at our fingertips instead of waiting for a meter reading on a month-by-month basis. Now like Kurt said earlier, we've got that, as needed. Again, it just provides more abilities to communicate to the customer and say, hey, we've got an outage in your area, or if there's an issue with the meter, we might see that ahead of time, or if there's a voltage issue. All that information we'll have now where we don't have that already. So.
And this project does not include a customer-facing portal of any type at this point in time. There will be a future project where we upgrade our CIS billing system, and at that point, the two Harris systems will come together and we will have an integrated billing portal as well as usage portal. So it doesn't make sense to roll out a separate portal at this time because they're going to be disparate from each other. But that is coming down the road.
AMI is the first step in
Multiple step
a
process.
roadmap to getting better communications to the customers or more information if they want to access it.
Thank you. Sounds exciting. Now replace sludge is my favorite topic. All right. Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve the contract with Wesco.
Second.
Motion by Paulson, seconded by Gilbertson to approve the contract. Gilbertson.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Thompson. Aye. Item number 10, West Central Minnesota Community Action for Affordable Housing Weatherization Program.
Sure. I'm going to have Taylor Holt come up and speak to this. Again, this is an annual item that we bring to the commission for approval. This takes care of our conservation improvement program, which we're mandated by the state of Minnesota to do. I'll let Taylor kind of speak to everything and go from there.
Good evening, Taylor Holt, project engineer. Like Travis said, this is an annual item we bring to the commission. The weatherization program is a part of our ongoing conservation improvement program, which is a program that's mandated by the state of Minnesota. This program specifically targets low-income residents in the way of replacing old, outdated dishwashers, clothes washers, and refrigerators with more up-to-date, better energy-efficient appliances. So effectively, we're trying to reduce their power bill, making them more capable of spending their income on other needs, while at the same time lowering the amount of energy consumed from our standpoint as well. Another point I want to make, load management is probably our biggest financial return when we report the SIP to the state annually, but they are really, really drawn to this program specifically that targets low-income residents. So it's, according to the state and their perspective, it's probably the most important part. The budget for this program is based on a percentage of the residential electric revenue that we bring in a 3-year rolling average. That about sums up the highlighted details on it. Are there any questions on it?
So, yeah, we expect to expend all of these funds, right?
Yes.
And what is that, the same amount every year approximately?
It went up about $300 year over year, but our residential sales are on a percentage basis fairly flat. Part of the the budget here is what we will spend on appliances. We may go a little bit over, and that's viewed as good according to the state with this program. But then there's also an administrative fee that's tied to this agreement to have West Central go through and help identify customers and go through the communications of it.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.
All right, entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Gilbertson, seconded by Paulson, to approve the agreement with West Central Minnesota Communities Action for Affordable Housing Weatherization Program. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Gilbertson.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Thompson. Aye. Item number 11, the bond sale.
Sure. I'll start this, and then I'll have Mark Moylan come up as well to speak to it. Again, this request to the mayor and Moorhead City Council to approve a bond sale is for $27,810,000. This is part of the DOE substation project that we've let bids on earlier this year, and equipment that has been ordered even as of last year. And so previously we did a resolution to utilize reserves to start the process, and then once that bond sale occurs, it will refund our own reserves with some of those funds that have already been expended, along with the future payments of revenues that need to, or future payments that need to be done because of the construction of the project. Project is expected to be completed next year about this time, could go into 25, and I'll kind of let Mark talk about the rest of the details.
Okay, thank you, Travis. Evening, Commissioners. Mark Moylan, and Finance Division Manager. Travis hit the key points. This is a construction project that was requested by the SPP as part of the transmission grid for the Upper Midwest. Because it's located within Moorhead, Moorhead Public Service owns the facilities and is therefore responsible for financing, building, and paying for the items. Again, over time, MPS will be reimbursed for these assets as they are used over a period of up to 15 to 20 years. So the impact to the customers will be minimal. Most of the income will come back, or revenues will come back to us in the form of SPP monthly reimbursements. We've worked closely with Mr. John Shockley to put together the resolution. We've worked with bond counsel, Baker Tilly. Christine Hogan at Baker Tilly has been very instrumental in putting together the schedules, giving us an update on what the expected interest rate could be. One positive we had last year is our bond rating increased from level A3 to A2, so that should help us in the long term with interest rates, which is a benefit to MPS as a whole. And so again, this is a formal action to request to the council and the mayor that they authorize this sale. I'm open to any questions at this time.
Mr. Gilbertson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So in the high interest rates, are we better off borrowing in a bond sale to repay cash reserves, or are we better off?
Well, the cash reserves actually are earmarked for the AMI project. So we kind of have been using those AMI earmarked funds to do our advance funding for these projects. But now that we have the bond sale coming up and the AMI starting next year, we'll reutilize the funds that we get reimbursed to do the AMI project. The AMI project we don't want to bond for. We traditionally don't bond for as a utility because the assets could have a life less than 15 to 20 years, which is the bond terms. So we generally try to fund those assets through operations or reserves. So we've been building up reserves over the years in anticipation of the AMI project. So this is kind of the financing plan as part of MPS as a whole, is that we were going to bond for these items and then use the reserves to fund the AMI project.
Matt, I think the other question you have is on the percentage of interest. That is also incorporated, I think, into the reimbursement we get from SPP as well.
Oh,
correct,
that is
Mike?
correct, yes.
Yep.
They pay us for both the interest and, in essence, the depreciation reimbursement. So they will cover pretty much anything that we expend in terms of the bonds.
Should be little to no impact on rates for the bonding that we do today, or we approve today.
Additional questions? This is an amazing amount of money. It's hard to sort of wrap your head around it, but thank you so much for your work on this.
Well, thank you. And again, a lot of it came from Christine Hogan at Baker Tilly, and then Mr. Shockley as he put together the documents, the resolutions, both this one and the one back in March of last year, to authorize MPS to be able to be reimbursed through the proceeds. Rather than bonding it up front, we knew we had sufficient reserves. We knew the timing of AMI. So we said, you know, we can do most of the upfront building, or at least half of it, and then reimburse ourselves later, and then we're ready for the AMI project as it gets approved. So the timing works out well.
Great.
It also probably helped too that delay it, that we saved on some interest as well too.
That's correct. We wouldn't be paying interest for the last year and a half on these proceeds. We've been using reserves for that, and interest won't start until the bonds are actually sold in February, or January, February.
Entertain a motion. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the recommendation to the Moorhead City Council and Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Gilbertson, to approve the request for the bond sale. Discussion? Gilbertson?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thompson, aye. All right, item number 12 is the actual resolution. I don't think we have to do anything other than,
Nope, so there is a, so you approve the request to the mayor and Moorhead City Council.
right, and then we approve the resolution.
Nope, this actually is a different resolution that we'll
Oh,
have to
okay.
be working on as well too.
All right,
so.
sorry. Not paying attention, I guess. So that's item 12.
Yep.
This is the transfer.
This is the interfund loan
Interfund loan, right?
between water and electric.
Water and electric.
Yep. Want me to
Uh,
speak to that or start it?
Yeah, why
All
don't you
right.
go ahead and
Mark and I
start
are going to work on this one together. So again, as we've been working through the process of AMI, and as Kurt talked about earlier this evening, we've been looking at this for a lot of years. Probably about 2017 or so, we started putting funds into the budget to build up that reserve so that we could pay for this with cash instead of going out and bonding for it. And after talking with bond counsel, of course, Attorney John Shockley, it was best noted to solidify this as a resolution from the commission that the electric division is going to provide $4.5 million in a loan to the water division to pay for their portion of the project. And I'll let Mark kind of speak to the rest of that.
Sure. Thank you, Travis. Again, Mark Moylan, Finance Manager. As Travis indicated, this project has been underway for many, many years. Back in 2017-18, when it was looking as it was more imminent, we started to look at how it would be financed. And one of the ways to finance the water division's portion of this project would be to use a short-term, low-interest loan from the electric division, because the electric division had sufficient reserves and the water reserves are a little bit tighter. And as such, we were going to do a low-interest loan. We discussed this with both our external auditors, Ide Bailey and Mr. Shockley, and both agreed that, yes, it could be done. One of the options we were looking at was just a strict transfer in lieu of doing a loan, but they indicated that it was probably better to keep the two entities' business separate, do a resolution to show and solidify the contract between the two entities, and that there was a defined interest rate and a term associated with the borrowing of the funds to do the infrastructure for the water division. So this resolution just formalizes the understanding that the two entities will use the funds together, and the electric division will fund the water division's installations and setup.
That's nice.
Okay, at this time, I'm open to any questions.
Definitely better at a low interest than a higher interest if we had to bond for it.
Right, right. Any questions? Seeing none, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve the bond issuance.
Of the
Resolution.
resolution for
Resolution for the bond.
the interfund transfer.
Interfund transfer, thank you.
Second.
I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Gilbertson, to approve the interfund loan for AMI. Any further discussion?
I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So how's the water division going to pay the electric division?
We've got it in the budgets that they do have a repayment plan, and it'll be recorded as a loan on their books initially, and then over time it'll be paid down. And right now, we fund both of the entities through one account, one checking account, and so there'll just be transfers made at the end of the month to account for this officially. So as they earn their revenues from the sales, you know, portion of it will be earmarked to pay down this loan.
Any other questions? I have a motion on the table. Gilbertson?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thompson, aye. Item 13, we're not closing for executive session. Upcoming meetings, December 19th. We will meet on December 19th. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Paulson, seconded by Gilbertson to adjourn the meeting. Gilbertson?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thompson, aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening.